Nosferatu is a 2024 American film directed by Robert Eggers and stars Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgard, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Willem Dafoe, and Ralph Ineson. Now, I assume we all know at least a little bit about the history of Nosferatu. The original 1922 silent film was an unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I find endlessly fascinating. I always have. I personally don't really consider Nosferatu a Dracula film. I mean, really, and I'm not sure if I'm alone on that. It's just kind of a personal thing. I mean, like comparing the character of Count Orlok to Dracula, I just always consider them two very different characters, at least in my dumb little brain here. That said, I've never actually read Bram Stoker's Dracula novel, and maybe that would change my mind. The first reason is probably that I've always jumped to like the looks of the characters, which Orlok just looking so much different than any Dracula we've ever seen. To me, he just comes off as so much more feral and ancient, just more evil in general. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dracula in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula is he's pretty diabolical, right? But he still has that famous like Dracula swagger. But again, I haven't read the book, and I should. And then there was the 1979 German remake directed by Werner Herzog, where Orlok is called Dracula, which is I kind of didn't like it, but great film regardless. I do enjoy that for sure. Now, getting back to today's film, this is Robert Eggers' interpretation of the story. So it's a reimagining, I think, I wouldn't call it a remake. Obviously, there are a ton of similarities, parallel plot points and all that, but he does add and changes some things, around here and there. It's not like super different plot-wise, and although it does work for me, it probably won't be to everyone's liking. There are some things that I would definitely like to talk to you about, but I can't, because I am going to keep this spoiler-free, as much as I can. So don't expect me to ruin anything for you if you haven't seen this yet. And in case you have never seen any of these films and don't know anything about the plot, it's a pretty simple one. And the plot follows Ellen Hutter in 1830s Germany, played by Lily Rose Depp, a recently married woman who has been long haunted by a mysterious entity. And it has been interacting with her through her dreams for a pretty long time at this point. It had calmed down for a time, but seemed to return full force after she was married to Thomas Hutter, played by Nicholas Hoult. Thomas is handed a lucrative opportunity by his boss at the real estate agency that he works at. If he travels to the Carpathian Mountains to meet a very old Count Orlok, so that he can sign paperwork for a new property in Germany, he would, not only be rewarded handsomely, but receive a large promotion, through the company that he works. Ellen has seen some pretty disturbing things in her dreams and begs him not to go, but it's a job that he just can't back out on. So he makes the arduous journey to Romania to ink the contract and meet Count Orlok in the flesh. Now, the settings in Germany had me really pulled into that world quite easily, but it was Thomas's journey to Orlok's castle that really caught my eye, really drew me in, and just kind of sealed the deal as far as the visuals go. I was completely immersed in this world. And a cool fact here, the exterior of his castle is actually the historic Corvin Castle in Romania, which has some cool history. It's not written in stone, it's not a fact or anything, but there are people that do believe that Vlad the Impaler, the inspiration for Dracula, was imprisoned in this castle at one point. So using that, at least for the exterior, was a very cool choice, I thought. Not a lot of time really was spent on Thomas's journey, which kind of surprised me with the 2-hour, 12-minute runtime. But despite that, it is such a bleak, dread-inducing trip. You almost get like a claustrophobic feeling that just gets worse and worse. In fact, I felt that way almost the entire time watching this, which is something I haven't felt in quite a while watching a film, and I really didn't expect it. Along with the constant feeling of dread that almost never relents, this is also very creepy at times, and at others, shockingly scary, in my opinion. And that tone is set from the beginning. I mean, you catch a brief glimpse of something in the first few minutes that is actually terrifying. Now, I'm so happy to say that nothing from this film was spoiled for me previously, but most importantly, the look of Count Orlok. Don't worry, though, I'm not going to ruin that for you. I had just been consistently wondering, really, ever since this was first announced, what will Orlok look like, right? And I'm positive you were wondering that too. So I was thinking, like, was Robert Eggers going to play it safe and just give him the classic, Nosferatu look? Maybe like a combination of the 1922 and the 1979 films? Or would he take a risk and just create something unique and original? I mean, I feel like there's going to be criticism either way, so I don't think he can really win that one. Personally, I kind of wanted that classic Orlok look. But I have complete faith in Eggers, and I'd appreciate any choice that he made. I'll just say that I wasn't disappointed, but this is, I think, going to be polarizing, I think. And from what I've read, just actually earlier today, it seems to be. Also, Orlok is played by Bill Skarsgard, which you would literally never know. And I mean that in every possible way. It's a fucking chilling performance. And this version of Orlok is the most evil of them all. And man, you feel it. Those Skarsgards, I'm a fan. So I haven't really spent much time on the rest of the cast, so I'll get to that now. But hands down, Skarsgard aside, fucking Willem Dafoe. Just choose the scenery here, as he always does. He plays Albin Eberhard von Franz, that's a mouthful, I know, a professor and studier of the occult. I mean, every time he's on screen, he's just so theatrical and dramatic, and his charisma is infectious. And I really just wanted to watch him for 2 hours. Again, I'm not trying to spoil anything, so this isn't one, but in my opinion, he's kind of like the Van Helsing character. There's no Van Helsing here, but if there were, it would kind of be Willem Dafoe. He comes into the story when Dr. Wilhelm Sievers, a former student of his, played by Ralph Ineson, seeks his help when he can't figure out what is wrong with Ellen Hutter. And I gotta say, it was great to see Ralph Ineson in another Robert Eggers film after his masterful performance in The Witch. I have wanted to see him return or collaborate with Eggers again for a while now, and it was awesome to see him here. I mean, his performance is probably my next favorite, next to Sir Willem Dafoe, of course. And that leaves the rest of the cast. Here's where I went in a bit skeptical, kind of not sure what to expect from Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and especially Lily Rose Depp. Now, I mostly thought Hoult would be good because I actually like him, and I've enjoyed him in pretty much everything I've seen him in so far. Then there's Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who seems to be kind of a punching bag, it seems, for a lot of cinephiles. I've never really paid much attention to the dude, but I thought he was pretty good here. And that leaves, of course, Lily Rose Depp. This might shock you, or not, I don't know, but I had literally never heard of her, despite her being Johnny Depp's daughter and, having a decade of acting experience. So I was kind of prepared to criticize her performance here, especially, since she is the lead. Eggers choosing her as the lead, though, reminded me of him choosing Anya Taylor-Joy in The Witch. And I really don't have much criticism at all for Miss Depp. I mean, did she get the role because of her dad? Maybe. But I think she delivers here. I mean, everyone is kind of outshined by Dafoe and Ineson, but those guys are tough acts to follow. If you're still hanging in there, I know this is kind of a long review, and it's 2024, and attention spans and all that, but I haven't really talked about the look of this film, which, in an Eggers film, is really the most important part, let's be honest. And this really is an amazing looking film, probably my favorite of the entire year. Jaron Blaschke is the cinematographer here, and he's worked on all of Eggers' films so far, and I think it should stay that way. He shot Nosferatu on 35mm film, so it has that old, kind of slightly grainy look, and the coolest touch of all, I thought, is where the black and white kind of shots. I mean, the film was shot in color, but there are many scenes where the colors were reduced almost to the point where they look black and white. This was not only a really fucking cool nod to the original film, but just perfectly suited, the gothic atmosphere. And last but certainly not least, I'm not always great at paying attention to film scores, but I'd be ridiculous not to mention Robin Carolyn's soundtrack. It's everything it needed to be in every scene and really added to the feeling of dread. So I'm giving Nosferatu a 9 out of 10. Definitely one of my favorite films of the year and was definitely worth the wait. It may be a remake of a film that already had a remake, but this was a passion project of Robert Eggers, and he seems to have taken inspiration from both films while adding a lot of his own ideas. Put simply, if you love old school gothic horror, this is for you. Let's make vampires evil again. Cheers, guys.